What is good, everyone? OJ over here from PlayerEssence, and welcome to another PE Nintendo Switch news video that I have here for you guys. Today we've got some awesome information for you, so let's go ahead and get right into it. So the Nintendo UK store has the neon red and blue Nintendo Switch back in stock. I know as far as the United States goes, it's hard to find a Nintendo Switch anywhere at this point, but in the UK, not quite the same, since Nintendo isn't quite as popular in the UK as it is in the United States or in Japan. So they've been getting restocks frequently, just like everywhere else, but the Nintendo Switch doesn't quite sell as much in the UK as it does in other places. So you will be able to find the Nintendo Switch a lot easier in the UK over the United States or Japan. So if you are looking for a Nintendo Switch and you want the neon red and blue Nintendo Switch system, definitely head over to the Nintendo UK store and pick that up right at this point. They do have them available. Alright, and moving on to some Zelda lore here. So Ganondorf's last name has resurfaced on Zelda.com. So here is the blurb from the official listing for Ganondorf. Once known as the King of Thieves, Ganondorf Dragmire used the power of the Triforce to become the Beast Ganon. So there you have it. Ganondorf's last name is Dragmire, and I think that's actually a fantastic name to have. It really suits Ganondorf very well for the style that he's in, just Dragmire. That sounds like a name that Ganon would have, someone that's transformed himself into a beast. And The Legend of Zelda is a beast when it comes to sales and when it comes to just the variety in the game, especially Breath of the Wild. Absolutely loving everything the game has to offer. And of course, with this name, Dragmire, I wonder what some of the other Zelda characters and their last names, if Nintendo's ever going to reveal that. But it's funny because people were going back and forth on this one, saying, oh, well, it is his name, or it's not his name, or it's official, or it's not official. Whatever. I like Dragmire, so I'm going to go with Dragmire at this point that it's official. But if Nintendo comes out and says something, or if there's some type of change, obviously we'll report on it. But Dragmire is a really cool last name, so I'm going to go ahead and stick with that at this point. Alright, and moving on to the next article here. Kimiko is hitting the Nintendo Switch in North America on April 27th. So here's the official description of the game. Wield your weapon bestowed by the gods and open the gates between worlds. Kimiko is a game styled around Japanese Shinto beliefs. Fight as a priestess called Kimiko and battle against demons while solving puzzles to make your way through the stages. Look no further if you're looking for an arcade action game with a twist. Each stage has several torii gates which are magically sealed. Find a way to break all the seals and make your way to the stage boss. Another fun and easy original created by indie games Skipmore. So this game seems like a Legend of Zelda style of game, and I think that's why some are kind of like pushing like, hey, check out this game here, it looks pretty cool. And based on the aesthetics, yeah, it seems like an old school Legend of Zelda, the original styled game, to where you can have some fun with it, especially if you like that style. Not necessarily my cup of tea when it comes to the indie games that I like to play, but if you are interested in this type of game, definitely check it out. And it is launching in North America on April 27th. Some were saying that it's already out in Europe or it's coming out very soon. But either way, you'll be able to play as far as North America goes on April 27th if you're looking for some type of Zelda, original Zelda styled adventure game. And moving on to the next article here, we have a Japanese comparison here between the Nintendo Switch versus the PS4 in terms of sales and the launch numbers compared. So if you're looking at the PS4 and the Nintendo Switch, both of them launched in a similar time frame when it comes to Japan. Now, of course, this does not include the US, does not include Europe where Sony is dominating, does not include other parts. This is just Japan, and it doesn't say like an overall thing as far as the Switch is doing so much better than PS4. It doesn't say anything like that, alright? This is just a comparison in Japan between two consoles that came out at similar times. The PS4 in Japan did not launch in the holiday season. It launched in February of 2014. It did not launch in 2013 because I think Sony wanted to prepare a little bit more Japanese games, and they also wanted to have more stock for Europe and for North America because they knew that it was going to sell big, whereas Nintendo didn't have that luxury. They actually had to launch in Japan and worldwide, so I think it's really impressive that Nintendo was able to keep the amount of stock and sell what they did as far as manufacturing units, considering they didn't have to wait as far as a launch for Japan like Sony did. So Nintendo was able to get that many units out worldwide pretty much on the same day. Really impressive. But getting into the numbers here, it's interesting because both of them sold pretty similarly at the beginning. The first week, the PS4 sold 309,154 units, while the Nintendo Switch sold 329,152 units. In week 2, the PS4 outpaced the Nintendo Switch a little bit, selling 65,685 units, while the Nintendo Switch sold 61,998 units. In week 3, Nintendo Switch kind of pulls away here, with the PS4 selling 35,294 units, while the Nintendo Switch sold 49,913 units. In week 4, things kind of get really big, where the PS4 sold 29,677 units, where the Nintendo Switch sold 78,441 units. Now, if people are wondering why there's a little bit of a spike there, that's because Nintendo probably tried to bust it to get extra units in there, because Splatoon 2 Global Test Fire demo launched that week, and they wanted to make sure, and people did pick up the Nintendo Switch just to play that Splatoon 2 Global Test Fire in Japan, and probably worldwide as well. So I think that's the reason why there's a big bump there. It still stays steady though even after that, because in the 5th week, the PS4 sells 30,201 units, while the Nintendo Switch sold 45,509 units. In the 6th week, the PS4 sold 23,327 units, while the Nintendo Switch sold 41,193 units. In the 7th week, the PS4 sold 13,401 units, so things really start taking a dip there. And then the Nintendo Switch in the 7th week still sold 45,673 units, actually beating some of its prior totals even before the big spike with Splatoon 2. So one thing that you're noticing with these numbers here when it comes to Japan, at least, is obviously the Nintendo Switch is probably going to be a longer term product for the Japanese market, because Nintendo just has the games that the Japanese market is more interested in. Sony had a few titles from like Yakuza Inshin and a couple other games that Japanese gamers really picked up, but after that it just kind of dried out at this point, and things are even drying out even more. PS4 Pro's coming out, it's doing okay, then once again it's down, where the Nintendo Switch is still staying pretty steady. It's early on, but it's definitely good to see this type, because this didn't happen with the Wii U. The Wii U sales had a similar downward trajectory as the PS4 did as far as the sales go, but I think the biggest difference is that with the Wii U, Nintendo really focused on the American market. You had a lot of Western third-party games that Nintendo really tried to push as this is the reason why you want to buy the system, and I think somewhat they neglected as far as their own first-party content, in addition to actually getting consistent flow of content, and they just rushed a bunch of third-party games out on the market with the Wii U. And I think the problem with that is that Nintendo really listened to all the people complaining online about third-party support, Western third-party support, and Nintendo tried to make as many deals as possible, but it ended up backfiring in their face when all the people complaining just bought on the PS3 and Xbox 360, then just transitioned to PS4 and Xbox One. So it really didn't matter if Nintendo had that third-party Western support at launch or not. There was people not going to buy the system no matter what. And then people who were Nintendo fans were like, well, where's the first-party content at? Well, Nintendo didn't have any. So there's a big difference between what they're doing at that point and what they're doing now, whereas with Nintendo Switch, you have a consistent flow, you have more of the niche Japanese RPGs coming into the mix, you have the bigger games, you have Mario Kart and Zelda in that first month, you have Splatoon coming within the first half of the year, amazing ARMS, more games that are geared towards what Nintendo fans want. And what has that resulted in? It's resulted in better sales, and it's resulted in more of a longevity of the system. In addition to that, probably the biggest thing here is that the fact that the Nintendo Switch is portable. Nintendo Switch is a portable system, and Japan loves their portables more than stationary docked consoles. The PS Vita is outselling the PS4. So we still need to wait and see as far as worldwide it goes. This is just Japan, and we still need to see just further down the line if this is going to continue. But based on what we've seen so far, going into the 8th week here, I'm pretty sure as long as Nintendo keeps the big first-party content like Mario Kart, Splatoon, ARMS, Xenoblade, Zelda, all of these type of games coming, which they're doing, I'm pretty sure it's going to continue on that path as far as good sales go. Alright, and moving on to the final article here, we have the NPD that has just been released. The Nintendo Switch is the biggest launch for Nintendo hardware ever, second biggest for the industry since 1995. So this is coming from NPD analyst Sam Nagy. He says March 2017 will go down in the history books as the month Nintendo broke records. The Nintendo Switch had the biggest hardware launch for a Nintendo platform and the second biggest launch for any video game platform since 1995, time the NPD began tracking this category. In its debut month, 1 month, the Nintendo Switch sold 31,000 more units than previously best-selling Nintendo 1 month platform, the Game Boy Advance, which released back in June 2001. The two Nintendo Switch SKUs, the 32GB gray Joy-Con, followed by the 32GB neon red and blue Joy-Con, were the best-selling systems for the month. Now getting into some more industry stats here, the total hardware sales jumped 91% year over year to 485 million. Software increased 5% to 602 million. Overall industry jumped 24% to 1.36 billion. Here's some more honed in stats when it comes to Nintendo content. The total Zelda franchise sales from 1995 to the present come in at 1.4 billion. Zelda is the top selling property of all time within the adventure genre, selling 54% more revenue than the next best selling franchise, Resident Evil. Breath of the Wild sold over 900,000 physical units, bumping the Legend of Zelda franchise total even higher. Nintendo Switch's packaged software sold 1.3 million units, a record high for a Nintendo platform launch. 1-2 Switch had an attach rate of 19%. So there's a couple things that I want to talk about here, because a lot of people were saying they're not sure about this launch and they don't know about this just because Zelda's pretty much the only game, but you need to have a big game. You need to have a big game to launch your system. You can't launch with just a bunch of third-party ports. Obviously that's not going to work. You need a big first-party Nintendo game in order to drive sales, and that's exactly what Nintendo did with The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. They made sure that they had a AAA, super AAA game ready at launch that everyone was going to want to buy the system for. But in addition to that, they also had a couple other things for like the family, or they had a couple other things for the retro people that love Bomberman. So there was some variety. Fast RMX, they had some good indie games like Snipper Clips, Shovel Knight. All of those games, exclusives by the way, at the time that they released, helped the Nintendo Switch do what it did, but Zelda was the main and driving factor, and that was better than Nintendo Wii U's 31 launch games, bunch of third-party support, all this stuff that people were saying that they wanted, that nobody went out and bought the system. Whereas Nintendo says, okay, we're not really going to listen to that noise. We're going to really make sure that we have our content ready, exclusive content ready for the system, really good AAA content as far as The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and launch with a hybrid nature. You pretty much get a 3DS and Wii U put into one. You get both. You don't have to worry going forward as far as what they're going to do, splitting the base as far as games go. And what do you get? You pretty much get the best Nintendo launch of all time, even though there was considerably less games as far as volume goes compared to the Wii U. So it just goes to show you what people are looking for when it comes to Nintendo. They want the innovation, they want more of the flexibility that the Nintendo Switch offers, and they want amazing first-party content, exclusive content at launch. That's what people are wanting, and it looks like it's going to continue with Mario Kart 8. Then we also have ARMS and Splatoon coming. There's also some pretty good third-party games coming too. With Disgaea 5, we have Minecraft, and we also have Street Fighter 2 in May. So overall, I think Nintendo's doing okay. Obviously, there's still a lot of work to be done, but I feel that Nintendo's at least doing a better job when it comes to marketing, when it comes to games, when it comes to consistency than they did with the Wii U, and even doing better than what they did with the 3DS at launch, because that system didn't get going all the way until the fall when Mario Kart 7 came out. So Nintendo's probably doing the best job as far as the system goes since the Wii when it comes to games, marketing, and all of that. Alright guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Go ahead and hit that like button if you did like it. Let me know you guys want more content like this going forward in the future, and subscribe to PlayerEssence for the latest news, reviews, discussions, and more. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you Ninja for the next video. Peace.